Okay, guys, so we're going to start. You can see me well. Okay, I think there you can see me. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And my sound. Okay. You can turn off your phones if you want. Okay, I will ask my manager if he can hear me well. How are you, Amelia? Can you hear me well? I have to hide this. Okay, so we are going to start. Thank you for coming, Amelia. So punctual. We're going to start and people will come later on. So don't worry about that. We are going to be studying our vocabulary for professional English, and I will teach you techniques on how to expand your business English vocabulary, your words, your glossary, so you can use it for meetings, for emails, presentations, and so on and so forth. So we are going to check the rules. The first one is to be respectful at all times. If you are watching this live or the recorded version, you're going to see that we are very friendly using the chat. Of course, feel free to type your questions. Just be aware that questions will be entertained at the Q&A session after the presentation. I'm going to greet you, but questions are going to be answered at the end. Just keep in mind that it's really helpful if you can share this video, if you can tell people about us, and if you can like and subscribe and comment on everything we do. We really like to hear from you. So this is the content that we are going to cover 6 units only, but it's going to take us some time. So just be there with your questions, and we're going to try to be, using these hours so you can expand your vocabulary fully. So you know me, some of you know me. I've been teaching for 22 years, and I've decided to go global because I was, of course, having managers, directors from around the globe. So I decided to reach other people, and we are teaching online. We are also teaching with our YouTube videos that you can access for free. And we offer lots of courses for people trying to succeed, to become leaders. And our first unit, I want to explain why professional vocabulary is so vital, so crucial. It gives you more credibility. So precise and professional vocabulary shows that you are not only fluent in English, but also capable of communicating with clarity and authority. What you want is to conquer the business world. Maybe you are a salesperson, maybe you are just a student trying to become someone more important, more expert, and you want to conquer that world. So let's say that clear vocabulary positions you as a strategic thinker who understands how to manage tasks and time efficiently. So for meetings and discussions, it's very unclear to say something like, we need to do this fast because it's important. You're not being very precise. You want to be clearer and you want to boost your credibility by saying something like, we need to prioritize this task to meet the client's deadline. It is critical for the project's success. So by using words like prioritize, meet a deadline, or something is critical, vital, You're not using just common words. You are making it nicer and clearer. Then, for example, if you're writing an email, any written communication you need to write nowadays is not so common, but if you write an email and you say, I need help with this by tomorrow, it's not very clear when that needs to be done. If you say by tomorrow, it means tomorrow or the hours before it turns tomorrow. So if you want to be more precise and professional, you're going to say, could you please provide the requested documents by 3 p.m. tomorrow to ensure we stay on schedule. So if you use provide, if you use an exact time, and then people understand what you want, there is a clear deadline. There's a clear reason why that needs to be done. So you are making your communication more professional. You sound like more organized, really. Then for presentations, of course, this is our focus always. Presenting something orally, precise language shows that you are detail-oriented, that you know the time, the place, the things that are needed. You are also results-driven. You want to see things done. So that can open doors to leadership. It's very unclear to say we made some changes. Now things are better. But if you say something like, after implementing this strategy, we've seen this increase in customer engagement and this boost in sales over the last quarter. So you are giving exact numbers and figures, and you are using the clear, precise vocabulary that is needed. You provide measurable results. So the KPIs are very important to study. They are measures. So things that you can measure, that's important. And for example, when you are negotiating, it's very important to think critically to demonstrate that you can be effective. So you can say just, we would prefer to lower the price, for example. You're going to be professional. You're going to say, based on our budget and expected volume, we propose adjusting the price to better align with market standards at this number per unit. So you can say 10 euros. So you can be specific, like $12.50. So you can be super specific here because you are negotiating. And if you are building relationships online, especially online, networking now happens online, but in the past it was normal to go to a networking meeting maybe 15 years ago. Now you can say, it was a pleasure discussing potential collaboration opportunities with you. I really look forward to doing this again, or to explore ways. So you can use this vocabulary so it's not so, you sound friendly, but you sound professional. And when you are networking with colleagues, with potential clients, if you use the right vocabulary, that will help you to build rapport, connection, and show respect for the other person. And you will increase the likelihood of future collaboration. After all, what you want is to succeed. So a lot of people tell me, a teacher, I've been studying English for 20 years. I know a lot. I'm a C1 student or a C2 student. I know a lot. I have so many words that I know. I just don't know when to use them. And that's it. A lot of people who tell me that they don't need to expand their vocabulary. In those particular cases, what you need is to learn words in context so you know when to use them. And you need to learn about register, formal, informal. That's all you need if that is your level. So you don't always need to expand your vocabulary, because your vocabulary can be, you can have a good range. But let's say knowing a large range of words is helpful, but it's not often enough. Yes, it's not often enough. You need to know when to use it. and often complicated words we don't use. It depends on who we are talking to. So if you go over complicated during a meeting and you say something like this, I solicit a discourse regarding the impending agenda of the project, you sound overcomplicated. If you use clear and professional vocabulary, like I would like to schedule a meeting to discuss a project's upcoming agenda, that is professional, that is very clear, super highly educated, and those are familiar terms. Familiar in the sense that people know these terms very well. They are easy to understand. That's what you want. Your goal is clear communication, but you want to sound professional, not overcomplicated. If you are talking to someone, giving feedback during a meeting, you have to be very clear about that feedback. You don't want your teacher to be saying an overcomplicated sentence like that. That's very funny. But you want to say something like, okay, your explanation lacked detail and clarity. Next time, you should focus on this, on detail and clarity. It has to be clear for your employee or student. You don't need to use unnecessary jargon. Remember, jargon is specific vocabulary for industries. So you don't want to go so deep into complex structures. You want to be straightforward. That means direct. You want to help the other person understand what they need to improve. For communicating with clients, you want to avoid confusion. You want to keep the message direct, but you want to sound professional too because this is your client. So don't go overcomplicated because the client is going to ask you, what is that? I'm sorry, I don't understand, I cannot follow you. You want to say something that they can really understand. They know what financial report is. They may not know what fiscal reconciliation is. The same happens when you are asking for help. So you have a request and you need something done. Maybe you are a manager in the future and you want to do something to have something done. So you want to be very professional and you can use very simple words that are also professional. Like, could you please help me with this task? So this is polite, this is very clear, and it makes it easy for the other person to understand exactly what is needed, exactly what you need done. And for instance, when you are explaining a concept, if you go over complicated as a teacher, as a professor or lecturer, or during a presentation, for example, the same, if you use words like intricacies or manifold or this kind of very complicated expressions, it's very unclear for people. So what you want is to say something like, this solution is complex and we should approach it carefully. So you're going to explain that solution with simple words to ensure everyone can understand the point and they don't feel overwhelmed. Now, I would like you to share with me, how do you think that improving your vocabulary would impact your professional communication? Do you think that improving it will change anything? You can write in the chat, or if you are watching this video after the recorded version is uploaded, you can share with us all your thoughts and like the video and subscribe, of course. Now, moving on to number 2, I will teach you all the types of business vocabulary that you need. You will need 3 different things. You have to understand formal and informal and when to switch, when to use it. You need to understand jargon and acronyms according to your industry, and you need to understand other common phrases that I will give you. So for formal versus informal, you understand that it's not the same if you write an email or report or if you are during an informal conversation or meeting. If you are talking to someone internally from the company, you may use the informal language. If you're talking to your boss, you will use the formal. So let's see some examples of these. For an external email or communicating with a client, if the client is new, you prefer to start with a formal one. I would like to inform you that the meeting has been rescheduled. That's very formal. This is a new client. Now, this client that I've had for many years, and I know that our communication is very friendly, I can just talk about a heads up. Just a heads up, the meeting's been moved. It's very informal to say moved instead of rescheduled. And a heads up is like you are telling people like, be careful, this is happening. So you tell them beforehand that this is going to happen, that the meeting changed time, for example. So in this case, you have to think about when and how you met this person, basically. It's going to be easy. Just check the emails that you have with them from before. And of course, you can take advantage of our special discount for webinar participants, and you can get this discount when you come to our webinars, and you can ask for it if you want, and it's going to be given to you for these courses that you are learning. You can go deeper into this formal, informal during our courses and lessons. When you are giving a presentation or giving a report, if you have, maybe you are talking to a colleague in a very formal way, or in a very informal way, you can use words differently according to where this person works. Maybe it's from another department, you don't know them well, so you can go more formal. Or if it's someone that you know that they are laid back, you can use the informal way. So you can talk about boost sales or increase revenues. So depending on the situation, you will use one or the other. The same happens for client conversation orally. This is not an email, it's a conversation. You can go formal. Please let me know if you require further assistance, maybe on the phone. Further assistance, you tell them on the phone, or maybe a very informal, friendly conversation. Feel free to reach out if you need anything. I always use that with some of my clients. Now, when to switch? You use formal for emails, for reports that are written, for presentations to clients that you don't know well, especially new clients that you're trying to get, senior management, and of course, any new contact you don't know if they were receiving formal mail. You use informal language for internal chat with colleagues internally from the same company, casual emails, talking friendly to an old client, speaking to colleagues who are familiar with. Now, for jargon and acronyms, this is industry specific. So we're going to talk about dentistry, medicine, technical vocabulary. So it depends on the industries. And this terminology is very important for you to understand your seniors. Senior is someone who is on top of you, like your director, your manager. You really need to know the jargon of the language. Like if you are an IT developer, you need to understand the rest of the people with the IT vocabulary, especially acronyms. So each industry will have their own jargon, their own vocabulary. They will have certain acronyms. What is an acronym? Like when you say BBC, for example, or when you say OBS. That is an acronym. It's letters. Letters mean something. So you need to know what they mean when they are given to you. And that terminology that you use professionally to be more efficient and to sometimes because you want to save time. So if you use those acronyms and jargon, you are saving time. You go faster when you talk. So understanding and using these terms appropriately is crucial to being perceived as knowledgeable, someone who knows about the thing. And we do have a course on these. So if you say, okay, I need this ASAP, that's an acronym. As soon as possible. I need this Like for yesterday, I need to know a certain jargon. I'm a dentist and I have a lot of clients from abroad. I am a dentist from, I don't know, Valencia. I need to know all this because I need to talk to, I don't know, colleagues from the USA. You can tell us exactly what you need and we can make a course for you on jargon and acronyms. We prepare that in context and we teach it to you in a few weeks. So that is the advanced courses, and you can sign up whenever you want. We have, for example, technology industry. So for technology, if someone is talking to you and they say something like scale horizontally, so they mean that there's a lot of servers to handle more users. Or an acronym like SEO, we know that it means search engine optimization. So when someone says that something related to the SEO, or maybe you are recruited by human resources for a new company or changing jobs, they talk about this, you need to know this term. Everybody knows this term. So not only will you know technology industry vocabulary, but also you have to know this because maybe you're going to job interview, for example. As for finance, we have a lot of words here. I teach finance a lot. That's one of the main things that I'm asked to do. And for example, if someone says we need to conduct due diligence, they are talking about a process that needs to be investigated. So usually before an important decision, you need, like buying another company or making a big investment, you need to conduct due diligence or investigate. This is something that people understand within the financial industry. An acronym like CFO or Q2 or P&L, we understand it because we know finance, but someone from outside will not understand what we are talking about. Now, if I am a financial advisor and I have a lot of clients from other countries, I will need to know these terms because some of the paperwork will come in English. The same for marketing industry, the A/B testing, if you want to compare two versions of something, the CTR for click-through rate, the CPA. We talk about this within that industry, not outside. Now, when do you use this? So industry-specific terminology is useful when you are speaking with colleagues, with other professionals in your field, when you are networking with other professionals, because you want to go faster, you want to speed up communication, but you have to please avoid using too much jargon or acronyms when you're speaking to clients or colleagues from outside that specific, let's say, industry. If they are from other departments, maybe from HR, and they are not familiar with these terms, it can be super annoying. So please avoid using this there. Some common phrases, this is the last topic for this section. For meetings, for negotiations, you will need some repeated phrases here because you have only 3 seconds to answer something. You have 3 seconds to improvise a sentence. So for daily office, you have 3 seconds. So you need to repeat phrases all over. So you need just a couple of phrases to keep handy and use them when you see fit. For example, let's get started. Shall we move on to the next point? I'd like to add something here. Can we table this for now and revisit it later? So you have certain phrases that you can learn during meetings, you can use and reutilize them. For example, to table this for now, it's like you're postponing the discussion, so you can use that to make it nice. The same for negotiations, you need to know certain phrases like, can we find a middle ground? Let's circle back to this after we review the figures and numbers. We are open to discussion. For daily office, a very common phrase that I use personally is to loop somebody in. So sometimes I tell a client when they want to include in the carbon copy, the CC of the email, you have the email, the person that you're sending the email to, then you will loop in maybe another person that has to be copied. And so you can tell the client, I'll loop you in on the email. It's very common to say. It will happen to you, and you will send me an email saying, I was looped in somewhere. The same to follow up with a person, or to touch base, to have a brief conversation or update. So let's touch base next week. That's a very common thing to do, to say. And checking to see, that's also very common. So you're going to use these phrases in meetings to keep the discussion on track, to be professional. In negotiations, you can use these phrases to help facilitate dialogue, keep the conversation like a team, daily communication the same, to make interactions more efficient and smoother. And I would like to know if you can write in the chat or comment later on which type of business of these glossaries that I showed you is more challenging. For example, a word like loop you in. Did you know it? Do you know any formal language that you want to share? Do you know any jargon within your sector that you want to share with the others? You can write it here, or you can write it after I record the video if you want during the comment section in the chat. Just to share something with us. Then for number 3, we're going to see a bit of agreeing and disagreeing, among other things. So I'm going to teach you a few phrases that you need. If you express your opinion, you can be direct. You can say something like, in my opinion, we should prioritize this project. You can say, I believe this strategy will help us reach our goals faster. But you can also hedge. So hedging is important because sometimes you don't want to be so direct. So you can say something like, it seems to me that this could be a better approach. Or from my perspective, this is the right course of action. So this is what you are doing, you're hedging. Don't worry about copying these terms because you can send me an email and ask for a copy and I will send it to you. It's very heavy because it's like 60 pages, but I can send it to you for free. So I can personally do that if you want, and you can, highlight it. For negotiating in business meetings, negotiations involve like discussing terms, reaching compromises. So if you say we are open to negotiating the terms if it benefits both sides, can we find a middle ground? Remember this one, that's very nice. But sometimes you need to make a counter offer. You hear the offer, you don't agree, you want to change it, you make a counter offer. So you can start with something very, very positive. That's a fair offer, but then comes the but. We were hoping for something closer to 20,000. You also use these counter offers when you are negotiating, when you're changing jobs. You use this a lot. So during the second or third interview, when you're closing the deal with your new company, you have to negotiate it. Sometimes you have to make a counter offer for a salary. So you can talk about these vocabulary, the second part, making a counter offer. Then for asking questions, you have to be very clear. When you ask for clarification, you can say, could you clarify? That's very professional to say. Or could you elaborate on this? And we use a lot this seeking feedback. I use it so much. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this proposal? Please let me know your thoughts. That's not a question, it's a statement, but it's very common. Let me know your thoughts. How do you think this decision will affect our timeline? If you're going to agree, it's very easy. You just say, I completely agree with you. Yes, 100%. That's an excellent suggestion. You can agree partially only. I agree with most of that, but I think we need to consider A, B, and C. I see your point, but you can add something else. And what is important is to disagree politely. You just don't like what you are being told, but you want to stay respectful. You want to be productive. You want to get what you want. So you want to be polite because of that. You say something positive, like I see where you're coming from, and then you give the but section. But I have a slightly different perspective. Hear me out, and then you give your point. I understand your point, but I'm not sure it aligns with our current priorities. So you are giving a positive point, and then the other part. Offering an alternative is very good. How about this? How about that? Could we possibly look at why is an alternative? So you're offering another alternative. If you want, take a look at this question. You can write in the chat. What is a phrase or expression you hear often in meetings, but you haven't used it confidently yet? You can give us some ideas of the things that happen to you personally. Number 4 is the vocabulary for emails and written communication. You want to be brief, you want to be kind, you want to be very clear. And we use emails. I think nowadays it's only for like sales. Emails includes also how you write on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. So when you're writing, you have to be brief. You have to be super kind. That person on the other side is a human being. So you want to ensure that you are professional and very clear. I will give you a few examples. When you are starting your email, you can be very kind of formal to say, "Dear Mr. Smith, I hope this message finds you well." You can start like that. You can introduce like that. Now, be careful with women. We may not know if the woman is married or not, if they are young or not. So if you want to be particularly, let's say, 100% sure that you are addressing this person the best way, you can use MS, which is for no particular marital status. Because then if you use the other two that you can see there, those abbreviations and words are used for married or unmarried. So be careful and check as much as you know about this person. If you're not sure, you can say, "Dear Melissa, dear Maria." Just be careful with the way that you address like the first impression that people get from you, okay? The same for the polite requests. You want to be polite with simple words. You don't want to go complex here. Could you kindly give me this? Could you kindly provide the updated report by tomorrow? Would it be possible for you to share the latest figures? Don't worry about the grammar. I will give you a complete section that you can print so you know how to use possible or how to use provide and share with the rest of the sentences. Now for business English, we have a course. If you want to sign up, you know that you get your discount. With a follow-up is what you do when you are, for example, selling something. The client will respond, potential client will respond, and then you need to send another email that will be a follow-up. So after a meeting or a previous email, the follow-up will come. And you can say something like that. "I'm just checking in on the status of the proposal we discussed." So you can use check-in. In this case, it's not to register at a hotel. Could you please provide an update on something? Now take a look at the apologies. Take a look. It's very important that you can apologize. you need to apologize. You can say something formal. I regret to inform you that we encountered a delay with the delivery because you want to sound professional here. There's something that you regret and you want to show professionalism. Then you can go a little bit less formal. Please accept my apologies for the misunderstanding. The tips for writing clearly: be very concise, go to the point. Yes, you want to keep your message clear and to the point. You want to be polite. Please, thank you, could you, would you? You want to check your tone. So being polite means read your message as if you were receiving it, not sending it. And please, 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 I will just do this. Proofread your work. You can just press send and not read what you're doing. There are grammatical errors. These errors will reduce your professionalism. So you have to check the verb patterns, how you use them. Punctuation, capital letters, that is to proofread. And you can use a lot of spell checkers online. So you have a lot of resources that are for free. A certain extension, maybe if it's too long, you'll have to divide it for the free tools, but you have a lot online. And as for a second opinion, if you're not sure, you can just say, teacher, can you read this email that I'm sending an important client? Can you tell me if it's correct? And you can ask this second point of view. I told you about the verb patterns. It's like how you will use the verbs. You want to provide, you will provide something for somebody. You will provide somebody with something. But you can use these formulas to understand how to use every verb that we discussed. Like follow up on something. You follow up with a person on something. So you can follow up with your colleague on the final report for 2024. You discuss things with somebody. You inform somebody of something. You apologize for something, or you apologize to somebody for something, and so on and so forth. If you need a grammar refresher, of course, we do have one. You can sign up now and we can, just address this so you can change it for yesterday. And what's the most challenging part of writing a professional email in English for you? Like for me, it used to be how to start. I always had problems when I tried to start an email. I don't know. I would always do the same, like just check how people wrote their email to me and see if they said, Dear Melissa, hi Melissa, hello Melissa, good morning, I don't know, good morning Miss, or whatever they wrote, I would just try to replicate because I thought it was the safest. Some clients are more formal, some clients are more informal, and depending on the country, they were more or less friendly. So some countries use the full name, some countries use like the last name. So just maybe what is your challenging part? Just tell me. For number 5, effective vocabulary for presentations and pitches, transitions that convince the world. We have a lot of words that you can use, and I will give them to you for presentations, that is orally, and for pitches. Pitches are like, you have the elevator pitch. I don't know if you know this. It's like, imagine you have to sell something to a client in 1 minute. So you need to practice that pitch, that conversation. So you want to deliver this presentation and your vocabulary plays a crucial role in engaging your audience. Remember our previous webinar, your message has to be clear and professional. So you sound more confident, more persuasive and authoritative. So let's see some clear transitions. Let's move on to the next point. Let's dive into this. Let's look at that. we will discuss a certain topic. So you want your presentation to flow logically, helping your audience understand the structure and anticipate what comes next. Now, we also have some emphasis phrases. So during a presentation, certain points need to stand out to be super visible. Using emphasis phrases ensures that your audience pays attention to these critical points. It's important to note that highlight. The key takeaway here is this. So you wanna highlight it. What we really need to focus on is that. So these phrases create a natural way to draw attention to your most significant points, helping your audience grasp, understand the core message. Now you want to be persuasive sometimes. So you say the solution will significantly improve your current processes. Our product offers unique advantages, including this and that. Implementing this strategy will result in this. By choosing this option, you will benefit from that. So, what you want here is to convince. And maybe you are giving more value to your product this way. So, there's vocabulary changes depending on the audience. So, we'll see how talking to senior executives or people who will decide something is different from talking to colleagues. Your vocabulary should be concise if you talk to executives because they are always in a hurry and you want to use this very specific vocabulary with them. They need to save time. That's it. Now, if you're talking to colleagues or team members, then you can use more phrasal verbs like stay on track, or you can use dive deeper into this. So the vocabulary can be more like, I don't know, maybe more technical. Let's collaborate. And you can use, I will love to hear your thoughts on this because you want to foster a sense of teamwork. When you're talking to clients and external stakeholders, you want to be focused on your customers, so on the results. So avoid any internal jargon because they may not understand it, and you keep your language focused on the benefits. So this solution is designed to address your specific challenges. Our product will help you achieve greater efficiency, resulting in cost savings. By implementing this, you will see an immediate impact on X. Now, if you can tell us a bit of a phrase or transition that you think you could use in your next presentation that would be more impactful, you can write in the chat. And of course, we have the presentation skills course that we presented in the previous webinar, and you can sign up if you want. For the last point, how to learn and retain the new vocabulary, there are a lot of techniques that I will show you. Some of them my students use a lot. For example, for those students learning English for medicine and for dentistry, they use a lot of Anki or Quizlet that are two apps. So you can learn by this spaced repetition. So you are repeating the term gradually, increasing the intervals, and all the information will go from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. So you're basically working on words and phrases in context, but you're repeating them over a period of time. So why this works? This is based on the forgetting curve. It goes like that, and it helps ensure that words are regularly re-encountered and repeated before they are forgotten. We also can use the contextual learning. It means that instead of learning an isolated word, you learn the word in context. This is what we use when we are teaching at Academia Inglés Neo and also our school in Argentina, Cinnamon English School. All of our teachers teach like this. we teach with words in context. Even if it is that you are trying to learn Tuesday and Thursday. So we will ask you for something that you do on Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll teach you something like on Tuesdays, I go to English lessons. On Thursdays, I take a nap. Whatever you do, we'll teach you in context. If you watch my videos, Acento Inglés con Meli, you will also see that I teach words in context. All of flashcards have phrases, not isolated words. Why? Because it really works. If you are learning something like synergy, you find an article and you see this word, you can write the whole sentence. You can say, the merger will create synergies between companies. So you learn the word in context, and this is very important. It becomes easier to remember, and your brain will work way better. Now, collocations are very important too. That's why we say bread and butter. It's like a collocation, how people speak. We talk with words and naturally go together. And when a student changes the order of things, or instead of make a decision, they create a similar thing to Spanish, it's very funny. So you want to read words in context, also with collocations. So you know that we say make a decision, close a deal, secure an investment, make an investment, attract investment. For engaging in active reading and listening, you can watch the TED Talks, you can listen to podcasts, you can try to overhear conversations with authentic content. You will make notes of unfamiliar words using the spaced repetition. You can learn it. You can listen to the BBC Business Daily, so you can hear a lot of collocations, and this really works. You can teach the new vocabulary to others, so you can find a colleague, a friend, or language partner that you can teach to. So by teaching, you will organize your thoughts and you will ensure that you have truly internalized the new vocabulary. So you can tell us how you remember the vocabulary. Do you create flashcards, for example, like I do? And if you have any questions, you can send us an email. You have our email to ask for a free copy of this webinar. I will give you my phone number if you want to send me a private message with any thoughts that you have. If you want your 15% off our private lessons and workshops because you watched this particular webinar, and you can ask for it before November 11th, 2024. You can do that. And this is our team. You can talk to me, you can talk to Leo, and you can get your best coach and teachers. I hope to see you next time. Now I'm going to stop the share. And I'm going to read all the messages. I'm very well. Thank you for coming, everyone. So, yes, I know that you're hearing everything, and some people are at school. Thank you for coming. Okay. Yeah, professional emails. Okay. Yeah, Sanner says professional emails. When do you write a professional email? Well, the time will come when maybe you have to write it because you're selling something and you have to write a professional email saying, this is my product, this is my service. You can write that. Or the time will come when maybe you have to write a professional email as an answer to a professional, let's say, offer that you got, and this is maybe a job offer, so you will use it. But nowadays I think it's like the number one priority for you guys is to speak better, to take a pronunciation course, an accent reduction course. That's more important. Okay, So we also see, okay, how are your pitches today? Elevator pitch, you mean? Then Stanner says, I often write emails, for school, right? For your secondary school. And it's really useful. Yes, you have to write emails. Start proofreading those emails. Start proofreading. Remember that proofreading is checking your grammar and becoming conscious of your own grammar, but also capital letters and also how you address the person. If the previous emails were very informal and you answer with a formal tone, the person may get offended. Okay, and collocations are crucial for sure. I mentioned bread and butter, that is a very common one, but everything has a collocation involved. So when you learn a word, you want to know if it should be make or do, if you want to say have or get. All these are very common things that you can learn, but don't learn 20 or 30 examples, just one or two or five that you really need, because you want to have this spaced repetition to constantly see it. You don't want to learn 20 if you're going to use 5. You want to learn the 5 and use them professionally, repeatedly. You understand the difference? You want to go minimalist with your English. That's the best you can do. I sometimes write phrases related to me with new vocabulary because I remember them better. Yes, exactly. When I mentioned the Tuesday and Thursday, it's because lots of people tell me, I learned the 7 days of the week the same day, and now I confuse Tuesday and Thursday, and I confuse Saturday and Sunday. And I say, you shouldn't have learned them the same day because they are 7 things related to the same topic. And that is very, very, very confusing. So what you want to anchor, like you have a ship that is moving in the water and you want to anchor it. That's what you want to do with your vocabulary. You want to create certain collocations of phrases related to yourself where you understand that maybe Sundays I do nothing. So you write down, Sunday I do nothing, and you put it somewhere. I don't know, hang it on the wall so you remember those differences. And of course, days of the week is only a very, very easy example for you to understand how important it is to learn collocations. Okay, yes, of course, this is for the future. This is for the future. So you want to have this vocabulary to keep them handy. And when you need them, they are there somewhere. I often find myself, says Daniel, I often find myself reading a long list of phrasals. It doesn't work, I'm sorry to say. That was a traditional approach. The traditional approach was learn 150 verbs and their past and their I don't know, all these lists of phrasal verbs, but in the end, what you need is maybe 10 that you use repeatedly. If you cannot learn those 10, why would you give your brain more information if your brain will only keep maybe 30% of what you put in there? You don't want to put more, you want to put less. Because our brain naturally will retain just a percentage. It never retains 100% of what we read, of what we learn. So what you want to do is go minimalist. You want to get to repeat those things with a spaced repetition. That's what you want. So the long lists, that's something traditional that stayed with us for a long time, but now we have to get rid of. We don't want that. We don't want the long lists. We want a short, very short list in context. We don't want isolated words anymore. I'm not learning an isolated word. I'm going to learn 2 or 3 that I need. Thanks for the hearts. 2 or 3 that I need, but I'm going to read those phrases and write down normal, very short phrase. Like, my point of view is this, or I agree to disagree with you. I have to agree to disagree with you. This kind of phrases in context, and you want to repeat them. So when you have 3 seconds because you are giving a presentation, they come to your mind. If you have 10 or 20, the more the options, the less you remember. Yeah. Okay, guys, I know that I have to leave because a lot of you have to go to school and have to go to work. Thank you for coming. I hope that you can rewatch those parts that you need to rewatch. Send me an email. I will personally send you a copy of the first and second webinar. That so far we have only 2, but we're going to do these every Friday during October and November. So hope to see you next. And thank you so much for being there. Can you share these ideas with people? Can you share our channel? Can you watch our Total Immersion Ireland with the shorts that we prepared? That will be super useful. That is authentic vocabulary, talking to strangers on the street. So you can watch those shorts. Go to my channel, you can subscribe, and you can get a short every 2 days, and you can practice without total immersion. And authentic vocabulary is very important. See you next, Emilia. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. Love from Argentina. Thank you so much, and see you soon.